Test, 1, 2, 3. Test, 1, 2, 3. What's going on, team? It's Ricky with Learn Plan Profit. Hope that you guys are all having a good start to the morning. Looks like it is a very, very green start to the day. This is something that we have not seen in a while. Almost everything is opening up in the green. So you know what that means. It's time to average up. So I'm up a decent amount. I was trading AMC during the pre-market session. As you can see, I'm up a little bit over $5,000 on the day. Here it goes, still indicating signs of an uptrend. So we average up. Let's see how high we go. So the pre-market resistance was right around $30.50. So just be aware of that. We got Tesla up 3.4%. We got TQQQ, which we've been talking about nonstop. It's up nearly 6%. So check that out. TQQQ on the 4-hour time frame now is trading above the EMA line. We can also even go and look into Facebook, up 1.2%, now trading as well above the EMA line. Just green all across the board, especially for tech, which is amazing to see. So we'll see how high we go today. But just wanted to say what's up. Good morning. Hope that you guys are all kind of excited. This is what we prepare for, right? Especially for all of our Learn Plan Profit traders. This is why we always talk about, being prepared at oversold levels. So give me one quick second. Here it goes. We're approaching previous highs. I don't hesitate to lock in profits. I'm going to sell right here. I just sold 1,000 shares at $30.44. Now we're up $6,000 on the day. Let's see. I will sell an additional 500 shares. Give me one quick second. Let's see if it's the same resistance level. Same resistance level. Look at that. Again, we buy the lows and sell the highs. Look at that drop. Woo. Look at that freaking drop. So on TQQQ, still indicating signs of an uptrend. Not really holding back on that at all. How great is it, right? A lot of people were asking about, I think we actually talked about it in yesterday's video. They were asking, why did I stop trading SQQQ? Why did I stop shorting Tesla? And it simply comes down to the understanding of knowing when enough is enough, especially when the overall direction is not in your favor, right? And what I mean by that is, the market's more bullish than it is bearish. So today is a great example where, SQQQ pulled on back very aggressively, and now TQQQ is back in the green, right? The NASDAQ market is trying to recover. Tesla is trying to recover, all very, very bullish, specific either stocks or indexes or ETFs. And the reason behind that is, again, it's great when these markets pull back, because it presents a lot of dip buy opportunities for our swing traders and for our long-term investors. And that's always what I've stated, right? That it's great when these markets pull on back because we can make some money as they pull back. Yeah, right? If you know how to short, if you know what goes up when the market goes down, that's cool. That's fun, right? But those are short-lived rallies. The ones that I always prepare for and the ones that I'm always the most excited about is definitely, right, when I bought Facebook on Friday and bought more yesterday, right? When I just, this is the moment that we've all been waiting for as the markets have been pulling on back. And I just hope that you can now kind of see a little bit more clearly why we get so excited when the markets pull back. Because for those that prepare, it's kind of like a sale, right? You can buy everything on a sale and then make money as it recovers. And I think that's kind of the perspective that I have when it comes down to pullbacks, right? Here we go. What's going on, Ingrid? What's up? Here we go. So looks like we might be trying to find a support level here. Let's see. I'll keep it light. I'll buy additional 250 shares. Let's see. So that's about $7,000. So that's at 30.21. Testing EMA. Watch out. There it goes. Breaking below. Look at that huge pullback. So we're going to have to be careful with this one. I'm going to buy with 1,000 share increments. But this is why we locked in profits. This is my third time locking in profits on AMC. I sold some during the pre-market session. It pulled on back. I bought more. It pushed up. I sold some. It pulled back. I bought more. It pushed up. I sold some. It pulled back. I buy more. So I'm going to buy more in much smaller increments as of right now. I'm already, obviously exceeding my daily goal. So there's no reason to aggressively jump into it. And we could aggressively drop, right? We've seen it time and time again with something like AMC where the markets start off in the green and then they just end in the red, or it pulls back for the remainder of the day. So just be aware of that. It's great that we pushed up on all of these different stocks and the overall markets, but let's just remind ourselves that direction and consistency are the most important factors, right? That we need to make sure that the direction's in our favor. And right now, this thing doesn't actually look too bad. So I will actually buy, let's see, no, I'm going to keep it a little bit lighter for right now. So I'll buy 10 shares right now of TQQQ. There it goes. Big drop on AMC. Look at that. Alrighty. I do not trade options. Good question, but no, I do not trade options at all. So just make sure that you're aware of that. Alrighties. I was going to say maybe we can put some music on the background. Let's see what we got going on. Alrighty. Oh, there it goes. Found a potential support. Look at that huge recovery. So when it recovers and it's actually indicating signs of an uptrend, I don't mind averaging up into it a little bit more aggressive. So that's what I'll do right now. There we go. Back to $5,000 on the day, 5,200. So we'll see how we go from there. All right. All right. How are you guys doing with your position size on your long plays? Do you guys get what I mean? What stocks were you guys loading up on, right? I talked about Facebook being one of my stocks. One of the things that I love to encourage you guys to do is there's no point of copying me, right? We all see value in different ways. So now I'm asking, what stock do you see value in as the market pulled on back that you wanted to load up on as the market recovers? Is there any specific stock? I hope that it's not just what I'm trading, right? That's not the point of these live sessions. So we got Snapchat, Shopify. I really like Shopify. Shopify is one of my stocks that I'm paying attention to. I have a 1/3 position right now. Okay, so 33%. We got Tesla, LAC, Ulta. All right. NIO, long-term for sure, SQ. And again, I wouldn't say I necessarily agree with all of these, but we don't have to, right? As long as we understand why we see value with them, I think that's what's most important. So let's see, we got Snapchat. Snapchat's been selling off pretty aggressively. So just be aware of that. Like Snapchat's very bearish. So I just hope your position size is appropriate. You know what I mean by that? Like just not super aggressively invested, because if it continues to sell off, it can put you in an uncomfortable situation, right? Let's see. All right. PayPal has been oversold. It has been oversold. So, and I think that's maybe what we can talk about today. I view oversold to be way different than just, buying the dip, right? Because in yesterday's video, I didn't really talk about super oversold companies or super oversold stocks. I talked about stocks that were already doing well, that just pulled back because the NASDAQ market pulled back, and that's about it, right? I like Pinterest, I like Snapchat, I like what are other ones? Twitter, PayPal, Roku, PTON. Those are all oversold and they offer great ROI potential. But one of the things that you also have to take into consideration is that those specific stocks weren't necessarily doing well even when the market was bullish, right? Do you get what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. It's like Facebook was doing well before the market pulled back, right? Shopify was doing well. Spotify was doing well before the market pulled back. Like those are all, like TQQQ obviously was doing well as the market was at all-time highs. And I think that's what I'm trying to remind you. It's like there's a difference between buying the dip on a cheap stock and expecting it to recover even when it was already cheap, when the market was at all-time highs. We need to understand the difference, because if a stock was already struggling before the market pulled on back, it will most likely not make a full recovery even when the market does recover. And I want you guys to understand that correlation. So let's just make sure, and trust me, I like PayPal. I like Snapchat. I like the ones that you guys listed, but those were selling off, right? So if we look at those, if we look at Pinterest and look at that in the 4-hour time frame, it's now beginning to trade above the EMA, which is super exciting, but it was already doing bad, right? When the market began pulling on back. Same thing with Snapchat. Snapchat tanked right when it reported earnings, and it's been selling off ever since. And that's the thing. It's like, I want these stocks to recover. If anything, I have some skin in the game in these specific stocks. But one of the things that I always like to remind you is I don't like to encourage people that just because I'm invested in something never means that you should copy or be in there as well. If anything, I like to encourage you guys to be more selective, right? To wait for more proper confirmation of a reversal. I think that's what's most exciting. All right. Bumble going up. Yeah, I haven't followed up with that one in a while. Do you think that the market is still choppy, or think things are back to normal again? How do you gauge what you look at? So no, definitely not. I mean, 1 or 2 days of the market being green does not mean that, oh no, the market's back to normal, right? But one of the things that I have noticed, and please correct me if you think I'm wrong, which I'm 100% okay with being wrong. I know I'm not right all the time. I was having a conversation with someone at the gym yesterday. It's this really young kid, and he's like, "Hey Ricky, I love your videos." He was like, I started loading up on TQQQ. I started loading up on Tesla at these oversold levels. I listened to you. I locked in profit on, I think he was invested in Lucid and Tesla at very overbought levels. I locked in profit. It worked out amazing. He was like, when do you expect the market to recover? And I was like, in my experience, when the market recovers, it's never because there's a fundamental reason of, because he was saying certain things about people continue to release certain news articles that's negatively affecting the market. Things look like they're getting worse. I was like, in my experience, even when COVID was going on, right? Even when COVID was going on, all of a sudden, randomly, the market began to recover and nothing changed. Literally nothing changed. And I've noticed this time after time after time, after every correction, after every pullback. There's nothing that actually is said that causes the market to recover. I really just think that the market sold off enough, that it built and established a support level, that it consolidated enough and it built enough demand that it just began to naturally recover. I've never actually seen any news article or anything like, no, COVID cases are actually going down. If anything, they still say that they're going up, but the market begins to recover. So nothing's changed, right? Even when they talked about inflation, right? And that's what caused the market supposedly to pull back. Inflation was always being talked about, but all of a sudden it pulls the market back. And then after some time, inflation is still there. If anything, it's more now than it ever has been before. And guess what happens? The market still recovers. And that's one of the things that I should. It's like, it's not so much about what needs to be said or what has to happen. Of course, that would be great. But if anything, it's the market recovers when it wants to, right? When it establishes enough of a support level, enough demand, and then it naturally begins to recover. At least that's what I've personally noticed almost every single time, right? And I don't know if you guys would agree with that, but over and over again, that's all I've ever seen happen. It recovers for no apparent reason, which I just think it's like, I wish. I mean, I'm a trader based off of technicals, so if anything, like that's in my favor. But I wish there was a more clear reason on why the markets recover. I think it would make it easier for all of us, right? For beginners to be like, hey, this was said, this is positive. Now I can see why the market's going to recover. But I have never seen that. Maybe I'll hold off on it. That might just be me. But so when asking the question, what do I need to happen for the market to recover, or what do I look for? As the market sells off and it's sold off enough, it's just like the market's like, okay, enough is enough. We establish a support level and we recover. It's that simple. So smash the like button, people. Of course. Here we go. We got TQQQ. Let's see. Oh, no. Alrighty. Slight little resistance here. Okay. There it goes, $30 a share. AMC, watch for that slight little resistance. Again, yesterday we were talking about I might have a goal of $30.50, but if there's something that's showing signs of a resistance level, I need to be careful with that. Let's see, can we break above $30? Look at this, 29. People sometimes ask, Ricky, what does a resistance look like? Well, this, right? We continue to test this same price level, $30, and we continue to get rejected. But it's building this little bull flag, which we hope breaks above. But look at that. Just big sellers at $30. There it goes. And as soon as it breaks above, right? Look at that push. Look at that. And again, what's one thing that we never hesitate to do? To lock in profits. There it goes. Once again, 1,500 shares sold at $30.42. Look at that freaking breakout. $7,000 on the day. Woo! I love it. Freaking love it. $30.50. Same resistance level. You might be asking, Ricky, why would you sell at $30.50? Resistance level during the pre-market session. There's that resistance level, I guess, right around 30, 30.25. But patterns tend to repeat themselves. They don't always have to, but I like to play things pretty safe, which is why, again, I had 3,500 shares. It becomes overbought. RSI, the MACD, it's very basic for me. I still have some skin in the game, but I definitely want to always prepare for worst case scenario. That's one thing that we always talk about to our Learn Plan Profit group. It's one thing that you'll see every single time within the Learn Plan Profit 2.0 course. All we ever talk about is everyone can talk about how much money someone can make, right? And anyone can. That's not special. Everyone wants to make money. Everyone wants to do well. But our job is to empower you to think about worst case scenario, always. There's two sides to every opportunity. And just as much money as you can make, you could potentially lose in a matter of seconds if you have no risk management. Risk management is as essential, if not more important, than where should you lock in profits. Because the only way that you can consistently grow your account, think about this, the only way that you can consistently grow your account is if you can control how much money you give back. You can have a $100,000 day. But if you lose $120,000 tomorrow, guess what? You have no risk management and now you're in the red. It's the simple things in life that people tend to overcomplicate. And again, risk management is no exception. So, do you guys think I should reduce it a little bit more? Maybe, huh? Let's see. Slight resistance, it looks like we're showing right here. Oof. Let's see, 30, bouncing at 30, 30, 30, 40. And I'm sorry for all my sniffles. I have allergies in the morning. Alrighty. Yep, same resistance level. Look at that, all the consolidation that we have here. MACD is starting to descend. Flat line, you see that, the MACD. RSI is starting to descend. We got to be careful with this. I'm just going to sell it. 30, 33, that's fine. I'm going to reduce it to 1,500 shares. If it shoots up, guess what? I can always jump back into it, and that's great. But if it pulls on back, I'm going to be very happy that I locked in profits. So that's what I'm going to take it as. Look at this push. Let's sell this. I should have gone a little bit heavier with this, but all right. There it goes. AMC is not looking too bad. Ricky, are you buying rounds of chocolate milk shots? So, what was that question? I like that. Thank you, Ingrid. So did you hold your shares of AMC from yesterday or those pre-market? Half were from yesterday. So I held about, I think 1,500 shares from yesterday, and I bought the rest during the pre-market session. And I've been buying and selling it, right? So I think when I went live, I had 2,000 shares. I don't know, 2,000 or 3,000. I don't know. I just sold on the market open. I sold and then I pulled back. I bought, it sold, and then pulled back. I bought more. Pushed up, I sold. So I've been selling every time that it goes above $30. That's kind of been the mission today. So yeah. Okay, let's break that down, Nick. I appreciate you asking. Alrighty, let's check this out. Okay, so I would just be very careful with this one, and the reason why is, again, one of our biggest focuses is market direction and consistent market direction, not just based off of what's recently happening, but overall market direction. And Zillow Group has just been making lower highs and lower lows. So that is why I'm, if anything, just a little bit more hesitant to go long on a stock that's been selling off for a couple of months, right? So it's not out of left field that I'm like kind of not scared, but like concerned that it's been selling off. So I want you to be aware of that. Overall direction is bearish, and the moving average, which is this green line, has been acting as a resistance level. So anytime that it pushes up and touches this moving average or breaks above it, it becomes very overbought, and then it tends to pull back. And it's been doing that for quite some time. I understand that Zillow was performing very, very well during pandemic conditions. It peaked the beginning of 2021, around January to February, right? But ever since then, it's been selling off, correcting itself back to previous patterns or previous prices. So as of right now, it's too early to tell if it's actually going to begin to indicate signs of an overall reversal, but it doesn't mean that you can't set effective alerts and actually follow up with it. I would just, if you choose to average up, I mean, the direction is in your favor right now. We're still trading above the EMA line. I would just be very careful and ask yourself as we approach the moving average. I wouldn't hesitate to lock in profits just based off of previous patterns. If you're in it for the long haul and that's specifically what you want to do, then all power to you. I just want you to be aware of current market direction and how long it's been selling off. So hoping that all of a sudden things change with no proper indication, I think is a very hopeful way to approach it, but it can definitely happen, right? I like to remind you to, if anything, be a little bit more on the conservative and selective side, right? So let me know what you think about that. Thank you, Nick. So what's AMC's resistance? 50 EMA? No, $30.50. That's the resistance level that I'm working with right now. $30.50. Anything above 30.30 or 30.40, I sell. Sold, right? It looks like it's trying to build the support right now at the EMA, but we'll see. So if it pulls back, I'm fine with it. I only have 1,500 shares, so I can buy more if it becomes oversold again. Okay, I like that, Nick. Alrighty. So, guys, I'm a beginner. Can someone tell me why Ricky does not sell all of his shares at AMC at 7K profit? instead covers his shares, covers some of his shares. So that's a good question, right? So he's pretty much asking, if I'm not mistaken, why do I not sell all of my shares because of how much money I'm up, right? So the answer would be, I see more upside potential on AMC. Even AMC at $30 based off of recent patterns is a pretty cheap price, right? So if I were to, let me just show you. So when you look at this on the 4-hour time frame, you can see that AMC recently sold off. I wasn't trading AMC as it was selling off. So ever since that it touched lows of $25, $26 is when I began to trade AMC and day trade it more, right? Because it's still trading below the EMA line. But right, why am I not selling all of my shares? Because I see more upside potential than I do see downside, which is one of the reasons that I always keep some skin in the game, because I still see upside potential, right? If I was at the resistance level at $42 or $44, that's been a very common resistance level, you are correct. That might be a time where I might want to lock in profits or sell altogether and then wait for the pullback to happen and then buy again. But because we're still at more of a support level than a resistance level, then that's why I would say, I'm trading it and I'm trading it aggressively, but I always want to have some skin in the game because of the upside potential that I see with it, which means that I can always average up into it, which is exactly what I said, if it continues to indicate signs of an uptrend. But if it gets rejected and then pulls back, then I have a lighter position size so I can tolerate that pullback and again, buy the dip more confidently, right? And I'm sure you've experienced it yourself, where if you go in very aggressive and something doesn't go according to plan, you become a little bit more emotional or irrational because of how much money you have, on the line. But if you do it with a much more tasteful amount of money, right, something that's not as aggressive, then I feel like you have a much more relaxed approach. So although AMC is pushing up right now and everyone probably is very excited, I don't really care too much because I don't have as much money as I would want behind AMC, right? So I didn't really care if it pulled back or if it pushed up, and that's because I have enough money that I feel motivated in case it goes up, but not so much that I need it to go up. And I think that's the difference. That's always been our encouragement for all of our Learn Plan Profit traders. It's you want to have, especially as you're learning how to do something, right? People jump right into the stock market and they expect to make money right away, right? There's so much to learn and there's a lot of mistakes to be made, right? So we always either encourage you to start with a very small amount of money and or start with paper trading so you can be encouraged to make mistakes, because you're going to make them. There's no such thing as a perfect trader. There never has been. There never will be, right? With that being said, I think it's exciting that there's so many challenges and it is so difficult, right, to be able to do well in this market. But I think that's one of the greatest things of all, right? It's you're doing something that is worth doing. You're doing something now that you can actually potentially scale that can lead to something so much greater. And I think that's one of the great things about this, where talking about position size and doing it in a very tasteful way would really allow you to focus on what's important, and that's learning how to trade. I don't want you to obsess about your profits right now, right? Which is why we encourage you to trade with a lot less money. I want to encourage you to not be afraid to make mistakes, but because now you're trading with less money, it's gonna not cost you as much, right? There's simple steps you can take to really learn, so later on, you don't make those same mistakes and end up costing you a lot of money, right? And I think that's the whole perspective that we try to share. It's, I would rather you make those mistakes now and do it with a much smaller amount of money or paper trade. So when you get to a much larger account and you have experience and you have confidence, you don't make those same mistakes that cost you 10 times, 50 times the amount because of how much more you're trading with. So that's the idea behind that. If you keep your position effective, not so much, but not so little, you take it seriously, but not too emotional, not too irrational if things don't go right. So how do you prepare as in the longer time frame for AMC as it gets close to the EMA line in case it gets rejected? you keep a light position size, Kevin. So it definitely can get rejected. So I like how you're bringing that up, because on the 4-hour time frame, we're approaching the EMA line. I have 1,500 shares, and as we approach it, if things get rejected, if things go south, I've already made enough money today, the day before, and the day before that I can take a little loss. And if it gets rejected, I might take a little loss on the day, but I can cut losses quicker. And again, because I have a smaller position size, try this, test this yourself. We used to call it, if anything, like the blind trading challenge. It's difficult to kind of cut losses when you're fully invested, right? If I had $200,000 in AMC stock, I might hesitate a little bit more to cut losses because of how much money I have. So when things go south, I'm going to be like, oh no, I'm not very excited about this. But ask yourself a simple question. If you own one share of a stock, let's say you own one share of AMC stock, and things begin to go south, and your job is to manage risk if it breaks below $30, you're not going to hesitate to cut losses. Why? Well, because it's only one share. And you're like, who cares? I only lost, 60 cents? That's the mindset that I want. I want you to not focus on the money. I want you to focus on what's important, and that's risk management, locking in profits, not because you're making a ton of money or not because you're losing a ton of money, but it's because it's what makes sense, right? I want you to take action when it makes sense, not just when you want to or when it's convenient to you. Anyone can lock in profits. When the market's green, that's not special. Anyone can do that. My little, 4-year-old nephew can do that. It's never, having a green day is not special, but it's knowing when things are going south, that you take accountability, that you hold yourself accountable, you stay structured to your discipline, and you manage risk. That's what's impressive. Not just when things are going great and according to plan, but when things are going south, that really defines you as a trader. And it's, asking yourself that simple question, right? Are you someone that will hold yourself accountable and manage and mitigate risk when things go south? And only you can answer that, right? And if you hesitate, then maybe you're trading with too much money. That's a huge red flag. We've talked about this. We talk about that in Learn Plan Profit 2.0. If you hesitate to cut losses, then maybe asking yourself, or telling yourself maybe trade less with less money might not be a bad alternative, right? Because you need to remind yourself, right now, your focus should be learning how to trade, understanding what you're doing. So later on, when you gain experience and gain confidence, you don't have to worry about that stuff when you're trading with a lot more money. All right, guys, I'm going to sell an additional 500 shares. I did not like that exit. I got smoked, 30, whatever. I should have put a limit order, put a market order. $7,200 on the day. I reduced my position size to 1,000 shares, keeping it tasteful. If it breaks above $31, I can always jump back in, and that's something that we always like to talk about with our Learn Plan Profit group is, everyone's always so scared of selling early. Really? That scares you? You can always jump back in. Why would that scare you? Why does locking in profits early scare you? You know what scares me? Selling too late, going from a green trade to a red trade. That's what scares me. I don't want that. I don't want to experience that. I don't want you to experience that. Why are you so eager to try to milk and squeeze every penny out of every trade? I mean, if that's the way that you want to trade, all power to you. At least in my experience, that doesn't work well with me, right? For me, locking in profits and knowing when to walk away or reduce my position size to be able to tolerate a pullback has always worked out 100 times better than being greedy and bag holding. It's one of the worst feelings. So that's just my perspective. So, yeah, I mean, it's all based off of what you feel comfortable. This is another good question. So Kevin Garcia is asking, do you have a certain percentage in mind for how much you go into a stock, meaning how I average up into it? So when I say I'm only invested with 10%, right? Like when you get in with 20% or 50% and size up every 10% every time. something that you like, or how do you manage it? Yeah, so I talk about it in Kevin in Learn Plan Profit 2.0, and it's about averaging up, right? And talking about the 3 stages of a reversal when something is selling off, consolidating, and then indicating signs of an uptrend. And when something's indicating signs of an uptrend, then I'm more willing to aggressively average up as long as there's more upside because the direction's in my favor. So when the direction's in my favor and we're actually making money, why wouldn't I average up, right? Because of I don't want a high average purchase price. I don't care about that. If something's indicating signs of an uptrend and it's bullish, I'll average up all day. Right? That's not my concern. My concern is, are we still indicating signs of an uptrend, and how much more upside do I have to work with? Those are always my questions. And again, that's something that I break down within the 3 stages of a reversal of Learn Plan Profit 2.0. And talking about the rejection phase and how that really doesn't make sense. That's the higher risk stage. The consolidation phase, which is the medium to high risk, right, where it's indicating signs of a potential support. I might be invested with 0 or 10%, but once it begins to indicate signs of an uptrend and it begins to recover, that's when I step on the gas. That's when you've seen me make the difference, right? When I really, go all in or as close to all in as I can, and then I lock in profits at overbought levels. So Austin, I would say that today and yesterday were my AMC days, but almost every other day before that was SQQQ, and I was shorting Tesla. So, right, I'm not going to trade AMC if AMC is bearish. If AMC is selling off, it doesn't really make much sense for me to trade it, right? It's all about market direction. And as you can see on the 4-hour time frame, AMC has just recently been indicating signs of an uptrend or consolidating. SQQQ, I was trading this, right, as it was at $6, as we saw right here, and then it began to indicate signs of an uptrend. So it makes sense on why I was trading it, 3 days ago. And the day before that, right? But now it's pulling back, so it makes sense why I'm not trading it. It's all about market direction, which again, we all talk about within Learn Plan Profit 2.0. There's a few focuses that I have when it comes down to trading. Market direction, position size, and averaging up, right? And of course, risk management. Kind of the 4 principles or 4 pillars of trading is what I would view it as. And taking all of that into consideration, it's all something that I have to make sure that I am aware of how much I want to be invested, how I want to average up, do I need to manage risk, or do I want to lock in profits as I'm trading and or investing in some of these different plays. So I think it's definitely an important concept to know. And look at that, AMC now trading above $31 a share. Check that out. I'll go in with 500 shares back again. We're about to break. Let's see what happens here. All right, there it goes, 7,600. I want to see if we can hit $8,000 on the day. 10,000 would be nice, but definitely not needed. I appreciate that. AMC above 31. I like that. Should I sell shop or do some more? So how does someone like me with no experience start flipping cars? So that's for a later conversation. Feel free to message me via Discord if you have a specific car that you're trying to buy. Message me, right? I've always, to all of our LPP members, anytime you have questions about real estate, it's definitely not our focus within LPP, but I partake in those markets, right? So I always take time to answer your question. If you have a specific car that you're looking for, and you want to ask me if it's a good deal, I love talking about cars. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, this will be something that I'll have to share with you guys later, but it's actually an LPP member that I'm selling one of my cars to. It's too early to tell, right? Because it's very early within the potential deal, but you guys know my Audi R8. It's an LPP member that is actually working on buying it. So hopefully I have more set news for you within the next couple of, days, but we can go from there. So we got asked about Shopify. Shopify up 5% on the day, 4-hour time frame. Yeah, it's looking good, right? Really nice recovery in the green, still trading below the moving average. I would have a healthy position here. We're still trading below the moving average, so just be aware of that. We can still get rejected. And today's the first day trading above the EMA line. So this is a step in the right direction, but again, again, always taking risk management into consideration. Don't always think that the market's going to be or it has to continue to go up. That definitely doesn't have to happen. So just keep a tasteful position size. I wouldn't be fully invested right now, but I would have definitely some skin in the game. Understanding that, it could pull back, but it's still a decent price based off of previous price levels. So I wouldn't be too worried. If you want to lock in profits, that's up to you. But I like the position. I like the upside more than I like the downside, or more concerned than I am of the downside. So yeah. All right, looks like we might have a slight resistance right around 31.30 for AMC, but I'll keep you guys up to date with that. So gorgeous vehicle. Appreciate that. So do you still have certain daily or weekly profit goals? It's not necessarily so much on the daily, but I would say more weekly. Like I have a specific idea of what I want to hit. So today's obviously a very good day, right? The past couple of days I was making anywhere from like 2 to 3K, but I also have days that I go without trading very aggressively, or I trade with a much smaller position size. So the days that I have are anywhere from just a couple $100 because maybe direction is not as clear. You need to understand that the whole purpose and idea behind trading is because there's an opportunity. And for me, right, thinking that trading is risky, which it is, right? You need to make sure that all your pillars align. Asking yourself the question, is the direction in my favor? Are we seeing a consistent form of direction, right? Is there a consistent uptrend or a consistent downtrend? Is it something that I can easily see? And if any of these things don't align, the risk level becomes higher and higher, right? Which is when you can choose to be more selective, and instead of going in super aggressive with a very large position size, you don't have to. You either don't need to trade at all, or you can take a much smaller position size just to partake in the action, but you don't even have to do that. I am always here to encourage you to understand that you can say no, right? You don't have to trade every day. Your job is to seek opportunity, and to seek opportunity when the direction is in your favor. Not just because you want to trade, but because you understand that it makes sense. That's the difference. Our hopes and our desire to want to trade something means nothing to the stock market. I'm sorry to say that, right? But for even my hopes, my desires, I'm irrelevant to the stock market. Your hopes, your desires are irrelevant to the stock market. I don't care how much I want AMC to go up to $60 today. It doesn't matter. But if AMC is indicating signs of an uptrend, if it's bullish and it's consistent, those are attractive qualities, which is going to, make me want to pay attention to AMC and to ask myself the question, is this something that I want to trade? Those are the questions or the opportunities where they're worth learning a little bit more about to see if it's something that meets your criteria. The way that I always want you to take or view an opportunity is asking yourself, right? This is one thing that I've made an analogy like this before. Imagine yourself at, a corner office, and you're an executive, right? So you might just be getting started. I get that, but just present it this way, right? I want to encourage you and empower you to be selective. So the way that I would view every trade opportunity, every investment opportunity that comes by that you look at because someone else talked about it, I want you to think about, imagine a folder being dropped at your desk, right? Your corner office at a high rise. And you view this company, right? Let's say that it's AMC. And what you're seeing is how it's currently trading, its consistency, its market direction, its ROI potential versus its risk. And then asking yourself, is this something that actually meets your criteria? You know why I want you to view it that way? I think one of the main reasons that so many people fail in the stock market, just like anything else, is because it has a very low barrier to entry, right? Meaning that it's so easy to open up an account today. It's so easy to fund an account today, and it's so easy to trade a stock just because you want to. Accessibility can either be the greatest thing of all or your worst nightmare. So because of this analogy, I want you to understand that just because it's easy to do doesn't mean that you should do it. I want you to, every time that you're about to take advantage of an opportunity, to structure out your trade, to talk about your entry point, your exit point. What's your ROI potential? What's your potential for loss? Where are you going to manage and mitigate risk? Ask yourself, are you asking yourself these questions every single time that you enter a trade? And if you're not, and you're a beginner trader, you're not setting, in my opinion, proper criterias behind every trade you take now. So how can you expect to do well later? If you're not doing it right now with a much smaller account size, how do you expect to do well later with much more money? It just doesn't make sense. Your actions now are not benefiting your future self. So it's simple steps and simple questions that you can ask yourself today to be selective, to have your set list of criteria that can benefit your future self, right? You need to build that foundation and that understanding of what to do and what not to do now, so later on you can reap the benefit of how selective you are, of how you seek opportunity, of how you take advantage of opportunity. That's what makes the difference. All right, I'm going to end it at that. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty, team. That's going to be it for today. That's a 45-minute live stream. Looks like AMC is slightly pulling back. We're going to see if we test the EMA line. Looks like it hit highs of 31.50. Not surprised. Pulling on back right now to the moving average. I'm going to hold off before I choose to average up into this position, but I'm pretty excited. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this live stream. I know that there's maybe like just a handful of you that are not part of Learn Plan Profit yet. Again, this is a live trading session. Learn Plan Profit is the only group that gets to watch me trade live every day. Feel free to message me on Discord. If you like what you saw today and you want to join our team, we have a discount code for you, and you can go ahead and message me. For those that are new to Learn Plan Profit, please, I'm encouraging you. Like, I need you to understand that I want to be there to answer any questions you might have. So you see me in the Discord group, you see me during these live trading sessions, but I might not see you if you're not participating, right? So if you're new to the Learn Plan Profit group, send me a direct message via Discord. Introduce yourself. What's your goal and how do you plan for me to assist you there? Keep it short, keep it sweet. I just want to get to know you to some extent, right? I want you to know how easy it is to message me and stay connected, right? Anytime you have any questions, you ask, right? You take time, you're a problem solver, right? You're gonna try to see if your question is answered in the course, but if you can't get it answered, then that's where you reach out to me and that's where I can assist you. So I really do appreciate you guys' time. Hope and wish you guys an amazing rest of your day. And like always, let's make sure